How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Sector 6, and today we're going to be talking about something that we've seen, but we've not seen at the same time. And that's going to be Leviathan from Final Fantasy XVI. So far, we've fleetingly seen Leviathan in a couple of images, the first one being the large mural that we've seen, where you can just kind of make out like a faded Leviathan figure just next to Bahamut. You know, you can see that there. And then the other time is the artwork that we see on the Collector's Edition. It seems like we've got Leviathan just at the bottom left there, just kind of next to the middle figure, the central figure. So we've seen Leviathan a couple of times, but beyond that, we've not really got any information whatsoever. There's nothing, pretty much. We can speculate a little bit, though, and we all know that that's what we enjoy to do over here on this channel. We speculate wildly. So, don't forget, like the video, subscribe for future content, but let's talk about Leviathan a little bit. So the first time that we saw any kind of hint of Leviathan was the mural that we saw, the War of the Icons, I believe it's referred to as. And there's a couple of interesting points that we can take from it potentially. The first thing is that each of the icons on there seems to have some sort of halo around its head. It's very faded in most cases, but you know, you can see it there. And a lot of general belief was that this shows that they are under the control of someone, that they have a dominant, do you know what I mean? There's someone there controlling them. And when we look at Leviathan, we see the same thing. We see that faded halo just kind of around Leviathan's head. So that could be one thing. Now the question is, who is it that's in control? Because looking at this image, you kind of see the central figure, the infernal icon, which kind of looks like a weird fusion of Phoenix, Ifrit, and Titan Lost, possibly. That is the one that's kind of looking down on all of them, and doesn't seem to have any kind of halo around its head or anything like that. So is this to suggest that there's this war of the icons going on, and this central figure's the thing that's in control of it, potentially? The other interesting thing from this image is that when you look at all of the different icons, they all kind of seem to be facing in directions away from that top central figure, or at least towards another icon. So like Titan seems like he's facing towards the centre, but he also seems like he's facing towards Shiva in the centre there, rather than up at the infernal icon figure. Whereas when you look at Leviathan, Leviathan seems to be the only one that is directly facing the infernal icon, the one that is literally facing off against that infernal icon. So that could potentially suggest that Leviathan might be on the side of good, maybe? I mean, it depends where the infernal icon sits, but from everything that we've seen so far, it's kind of setting up that the infernal icon is like a force for apocalypse and some sort of coming cataclysm or something like that. So if that is what the infernal icon is being set up as, with, you know, all of the terminology around it, infernal, things like that, then that would suggest that Leviathan might be the other side of that battle, based on how it seems to be facing off against the central figure in this mural. And that kind of comes back once again when we look at the Collector's Edition box art, which we did briefly take a look at on the channel a few weeks ago. You can check out that video there. You can also check out the videos about the mural as well if you have a look back through the channel. But as we can see, you've kind of got this clear distinction on this image. You've got this central figure, which again I would presume is the infernal icon, maybe of some sort. People think it could be Typhon, a complete form of Typhon. Other people think it could be Diablos, because it does look a little bit like Diablos, but we've not really had any indication that Diablos is going to pop up in Final Fantasy XVI. But regardless of who that figure is, when you look at it, you can see a clear split. So you've got these darker figures, the ones that we've seen associated in the trailers with conflict against Clive and against what we would presume to be good. You can see Bahamut, you can see Odin, you can see Titan, you can see Garuda, and we know that we come up against each one of these in turn, pretty much. And on the left-hand side, you can see people who are allied with Clive. You can see Ramu, you can see Shiva, you can see Phoenix, and you can also see what looks to be Leviathan. So again, another suggestion that Leviathan is going to be friendly in some capacity and is going to help us out in some way. There's a lot of things stacking up suggesting that. A lot of things that are stacking up suggesting that. But again, these are the only two bits of imagery that we have of Leviathan. So it's not really that much to go on. It's definitely suggesting that Leviathan's going to be on the side of good. So let's go a little bit further. Let's start getting into the wild speculation phase of this. Let's look at Leviathan's name. Now, Leviathan is a name that comes from quite far back, appearing in various different religious mythologies under slightly different guises here and there, depending on which, interpretation of Leviathan it is. For example, like in Babylonian creation mythology, where the serpent goddess Tiamat was used to create the heavens and the earth. It's a similar story over and over, so you can almost see Leviathan and Tiamat as kind of the same being, but in a different mythology, different interpretations of it, which is another interesting little fact. And again, thank you to MJ Gallagher, who also kind of pushed me down that direction a few weeks ago when we had a chat. So you can see already there's a slight correlation there with Leviathan potentially being related to a dragon of some sort. And when we look further into the Christian mythology of Leviathan, we see that a little bit more. When Leviathan as a word is translated into Greek, it kind of becomes Drakon, which is where the term Drake comes from. And you can see where this is going, because all across Valistea, we've got crystals that are referred to as Drake's breath, Drake's tail, Drake's etc, etc, etc. And these are the things that are used by society for their ether, for their power, for their abilities, their properties. And these are the things that are gradually being drained away as the blight overtakes Valistea. So you can see a little bit of a correlation between Leviathan and Drakes and creation myth, and potentially the creation of Valistea itself, maybe in some capacity. Maybe there was originally an icon that was Leviathan, and due to the fact that, as we see in that mural, it seems to be in direct contest with the infernal icon, maybe this Leviathan entity, deity maybe, not even an icon, is the reason why Valistea has been able to be as prosperous as it has been, because Leviathan has, in some way, used its energy and its power to feed the land of Valistea in some way. And if we look at various other stories relating to Leviathan in ancient mythology, be it whether it's Christian mythology, Hebrew mythology, Islamic mythology, even Babylonian mythology, when regarding Tiamat, it always comes to a point where Leviathan is killed or defeated or slain or whatever the circumstances may be, and then afterwards is used to feed the people or sustain the land or to create the land, such as in Babylonian mythology, where the creation myth of Babylonian mythology describes Tiamat being defeated by Marduk, and then Tiamat's body is used to create the heavens and the earth. So we're seeing a constant correlation between Leviathan and the creation or the sustenance of the world, and the fact that we see every other icon except for Leviathan. We see Leviathan in direct conflict seemingly in the mural alongside the infernal icon. It's kind of suggesting to me that Leviathan could be some sort of creation figure, where there was a battle previously in the past potentially between the infernal icon and Leviathan, or whoever's controlling the infernal icon and Leviathan, and that has in some way led to Leviathan becoming separated but bestowing the crystals upon the land of Valistea. And it also again feeds into Typhon from a previous video that I've done, where Typhon is the creator of all monsters. Maybe there's something between Typhon and Leviathan which leads to the creation of the crystals, the spreading of ether across Valistea, and the creation of the icons via Typhon, the creator of all monsters. That's one possibility. Maybe Typhon and Leviathan are separate sides of the same battle. Maybe Typhon's a bit of a red herring, and maybe it does end up being the infernal icon and Leviathan. Either way, there's definitely a lot of information that we do not have access to yet. There's definitely a reason why we've only seen the briefest of glimpses of Typhon, and we've not seen Leviathan at all. There's definitely a reason behind that, and we're only, 5 weeks away from Final Fantasy XVI dropping now. We've not got long to wait until we get the answers to all these questions. Hopefully I'm right, but what about you? Have you got any ideas, any theories on what could be going on with Leviathan? Why have we seen Leviathan a little bit, but then nothing else? What do you think? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe for future content, Going to have a lot more Final Fantasy XVI content coming out over the next few weeks, and given the fact that we've just had the announcement that we've got a PlayStation Showcase on the 24th, and then Summer Games Fest on the 9th, I think it is, or is it the 8th? It's one of the two, 9th or the 8th, I'll flash it up on screen. But we've got both of them coming. Square Enix are almost certain to be present at both of those events. Could we finally start getting some real Rebirth news now that Final Fantasy XVI's pretty much out? So yeah, don't forget, like, sub, leave your thoughts in the comments below, but more importantly than anything, have a great day.